Digital Media Team Studio. Today we are going to be chatting with the man, Senator Matthew A. Urhoghide. Senator Pharmacist Matthew Urhoghide was born on August 8, 1955, to late Pa Daniel Ediagbonya Urhoghide and Madam Rebecca Averere Urhoghide, nee Obaseki. Beginning his education pursuit at St. Matthew Primary School, Sokomba Road, and Egosa Grammar School, both in Benin City, Edo State. He proceeded to study pharmacy at the University of Benin, Benin City, from where he graduated with a degree in pharmacy. He is a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Pharmacy. In 2013, he was appointed chairman, management board of the Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife, Osun State. His interest in politics really started as an undergraduate when he contested and won election into the Student Union presidency of the University of Benin Student Union government. That same year, he was president of the Senate, and of course, in 2015, he won a keenly contested election to the Nigerian Senate to represent the people of Edo South Senatorial District. He is a distinguished alumnus of the University of Benin, Benin City. At the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he chaired the Senate Committee on Culture and Tourism until mid-2017, when he was appointed the chairman, Senate Public Accounts Committee. Senator Matthew Urhoghide sits as a member of several other standing committees, including Culture and Tourism, Health, Appropriation, Niger Delta, Housing, Senate Services, Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, Gas and Essex, Privileges, and Petitions. Senator, sir, you're welcome to the program.
My pleasure. I'm here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, too, for calling me in.
Thank you. Now, what is your relationship with Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State?
Okay. If I have to put it succinctly, you know, the governor, yes, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, is my brother. If I say he's my brother, maybe you know, but it's not the only person that is biologically related to you that is your brother. But when, of course, your relationship with somebody is, is deep and dates back to a very long time, over 50 years, becomes your brother. You can imagine that the greater part of our lives, his own and mine, you know, has been the one of closely, you know, we grow up together as young people, as children at the age of 7 or 8 years. And we have come all the way to now that we're in our 60s. So I want to put it this way. I started primary school a year before him. Tomato Primary School. He came a year after me. And of course, we're Anglican. Okay. St. Matthew's is an Anglican primary school. Okay, then we have the cathedral, St. Matthew's Cathedral, Sapoba Road. His own family too, they were just around, you know, around the corner, you know, Onguna Street. And my own family too, on Sapele Road. So we'll go to school from Monday to Friday, and on Sunday we are back to church as children. Of course, I finished primary school 67, and I went to grammar school. I was an Anglican grammar school. So what I'm saying, from 1962 to 67, I was in primary school. Godwin came in 1963 to 68. I went to Anglican grammar school 1968. He came in 1969. I finished 1972, he finished 1973. Then I went, you know, my HSC, I went to do my higher school. I finished 74, I went to India College to teach briefly for a year before I went to university. As I was leaving, 75, he came in to teach in India College. And then, of course, in 76, he went to the University of Ibadan.
So our governor was once a teacher?
Yes. And the real thing is, it's not that we went to school. Just like our schoolmates. We're friends. From when I was in primary 2, he was in primary 1. Till date, what he was using to tease me, still what he still uses today. If you get close to him, he jokes by calling me mind you, not Matthew. Okay. You could see then in class, and because we were friendly, okay, he could hear people who could not pronounce Matthew properly call me mind you.
Oh.
So, and then they will say, mind you, not your sense, mind you, meaning the Matthew that attends St. Matthew.
Say it again.
Matthew.
Yes.
That attends St.
No,
Matthew.
say it in Benin.
It will say, a mind you, not your sense, mind you. That means, so you can see kids who couldn't pronounce. Yeah. So they tell you about our intimacy. Even when we go to secondary school, it will still see the same. It will still say the same. Because it started from primary school.
And almost 58 years later, he's still saying it.
We still joke with that. And our families too, we have been very close. Very close. Okay. His immediate elder brother, yeah, Arunde, is very well known to me. His immediate younger brother, Gabriel, was my immediate younger brother's classmate. So what I'm saying, the same. So we had moved all this way. It's beyond politics. And of course, my wife today went to India College. I didn't know her when I was there because I met her 4 years later when I was in the university already. And then when she sees my wife, she calls my wife my students. Okay, because he taught in India College and taught her too. Okay, so
now we are seeing a different side of the governor of Edos.
But that is the truth. It's my support for him. It's not partisan politics.
Okay, now.
My support for him really, because I know him. Okay. And then he knows me.
You know him.
Yes.
He knows you.
Yes.
You have been friends for about 58 years.
Yes.
Now, could you just give us an impression of his administration?
Now, coming to his administration, you see, even before this time, if we were really mindful of our perception of ourselves, right? From 2008, when he came to the administration of Adams Shomole as chairman of economic, the economic team, my relationship with him was not because he was in that administration. This relationship of friends, very close friends, right? And the quality of contributions that he made to that government, all right, was what I could see. And himself being a round peg in a round hole, okay, working in a government that needed to forge a direction. Because, of course, you know that in Nigeria, what is important about governance first is to anybody that talks about good governance here must talk about the economy. It's the economy that sustains every other thing. And since he was the one that was heading the economic team, it only means that that was the area that was responsible for the sustenance of the government. So he held the key. So, and of course, I never doubted his ability one day. I mean, come to think of it too, we had other areas. I lived in Lagos, okay, all through the time before I, contest the election, go to Abuja. He lived in Lagos. Virtually every weekend we were on the same flight to Benin. And every Sunday we were on the same flight back to Lagos. And of course, most of the times too, when he was doing business with an NPC. All right? He was doing business with an NPC. And of course, my business with NPC dated back to 1985. Okay? So NPC Medical was there. So we were meeting at different times, at different levels for different things, but at the same time, our friendship was kept. So he had this background of performance. And of course, me running for election, leaving the ACN in 2011 and coming to the PDP and running for election, he never stood against it. He probably, could attest to my suitability for the position. And then seeing it that, yes, this is my friend of very many years, okay, knowing his capabilities and then knowing his suitability for this position. So he supported me. And then when he was going to run for governorship, he met me and told me I was running. I didn't tell him that I was not going to support him on the note of incompetence. I knew that from time Gio has been digital and his reasoning, if you go close to him, is high ceiling reasoning. And he keeps thinking of, how to get things a whole lot better. Digital technology has taken over the world. And if anything, his approach to education, his approach to healthcare, his approach to entrepreneurial development and what have you, is digital, what it has to be. So his ability, I never doubted it. And if you look at his perception has brought development from all the different facets. Nobody wanted to come close until we started this campaign and I started to read about his good works, his style of governance, and what he has been able to put on ground as verifiable evidence of good governance. I never knew until I got came close. Oh, in the area of energy, he's developing it. Okay, power, developing it. You can see education, that frontier is developing it. Health, developing it. You can see skill acquisition is developing it.
Of all these facets,
creating wealth.
Which would you say are the most iconic?
I'm particularly fascinated at his, development of power. In fact, the day we were going to Koba, how to one campaign, we were going to Olobo. And of course, we were looking at, the metallic post standing for the transmission of power. You could see the difference between that we had there done by the federal government and the one that is done by the state government. That is an independent power development. And you can see the disposition or the plan that he has, where all the different segments, these ones we serve. I'm fascinated by that. So it's going to be its integrated development. And you can see how he's thinking of sending this one to specific areas. Health institutions, okay, education institutions, where he's sending them to. And of course, today, if you are going to have a digital health facility, you know it too that the machines, the equipment you need to use must have constant power supply. If not, those machines will not last. As a pharmacist, I can tell you that. And of course, it's already saying for these things to subsist, we need to have power supply that is uninterrupted. Okay, if you are bringing a CT scan machine to a place and other medical equipment to a place, you know it that you must sustain, all right, uninterrupted power supply to those centers. So he's already thinking of it. And I was at Lily Hospital recently when he commissioned, their COVID-19 laboratory, testing laboratory. And then of course, he made a speech, that of course, extemporaneously, okay? I saw somebody who is well grounded, even though he's a financial expert, okay? Yeah. That tells you his knack, for excellence, for knowledge, okay? So when somebody has an administration that is knowledge driven, you can see the thing flows. So I have seen that with him, and I want to tell you that Gio has a very clear picture of what he wants to do in the States. When he started trying to enhance the economy of the state and develop it, and then of course look at the educational system he has put in place. All right, you can see too that it is modern, not just it is digital. It puts in place a very fair process of assessing what government is doing. if a governor is seated in his office and is able to, monitor the development of children in classrooms, it only means that those who are there to offer education, those who are there to teach, can even be better monitored because they are less in number. So the quality of teachers, you can see the way the campaigns were going, telling you we have trained over, 10,000 teachers. Instead of teachers developing themselves, he's developing them. If you remember some years back, his predecessor in office was saying they wanted to conduct a competency test for teachers. That one would have expected. Competency test based on what? You cannot be testing somebody that you have not trained. You cannot be testing a student that you have not given lectures to. All right? So you can see too that he's methodical in his approach. And then, of course, he's sure to get the results, that he wants. So every facet of his administration, all the objectives that, of course, are arising from provisions in our constitution. When you are talking of state policy and directive, state policy, the objective that will drive state policy, it depends on the seriousness, of the governor. That is the head of that government. To say these are the objectives. How do we pursue them? So I think it's very well, driven.
Thank you very much. All right, we are chatting with Senator Mrs. Matthew Urhoghide. When we come back, we are going to be talking about election in Edo South come September 19th, 2020. Stay with us.
Where we are presently now is the Oshomo power plant. The power plant will generate about 55 megawatts. As you can see there, we have 2 twin buildings with chimney channels on their heads. That is where the engines, where the generators are located. And each have 9 generators or engines each. Right immediately in our front here, that is the gas plant. The generator will be operated using gas. By my left here, this is the valve pit, where the gas is being connected to the NNPC gas pipeline. Those are the 3 major components of the power plants. The names are, that is Nigeria Electricity Management Safety Agencies. They are presently on ground now to certify the power plants and the poles starting from Ologbo here up to Benin City. Presently now they are in the Benin City area.
All right, you are welcome back to the program. Now, Senator, what is the atmosphere like in Edo South where you hold sway, and how are you working to ensure victory for PDP?
Well, quite frankly, for those of us who have taken politics as a vocation, we've always been very serious. Not just my own elections. If you are able to look back into my political, trajectory, you know that, from when I ran election my first time in 1992, all right, and the times I've had to, support other persons, in their own elections, like the MKO campaign organization, where I was. I did it with a whole lot of, vehemence, concentration of all my energies, just at least for the SDP, to win election, for my party to at least triumph, at the polls. And after that time, a couple of times too, that we had to support other persons on the platform of the PDP when I came. In fact, let me even say the ACN, when, Comrade Obafemi contested election, you could see too that I was involved in that election very seriously, because I too was a candidate. I was a senatorial candidate for Edo South, and he was the governorship candidate. We did it, with a whole lot of, efforts. And if you remember, by the time we finished that election, when he won, the House of Assembly candidates were able to get 6 from my own senatorial district, out of the 8 that we had in the House of Assembly. And ever since, we have been moving, and coming to this time that we need to re-elect the governor. One is even more determined to put efforts, because I have an advantage position as the senator representing the senatorial district and being the largest of the 3 districts in the state. The voting population here is huge compared to what we are getting from the other 2 senatorial districts put together. Therefore, what one has always employed in winning the elections, one, of course, will redouble our efforts to ensure that the governor, present governor, is returned. Number 1 is a party man. He's in the PDP. And me as a party man, there is no other thing that will distract my attention than to ensure that my party wins the election. After in 2016, we had a reversal of positions where Pastor Sage Zayama was our candidate in the PDP.
Yeah.
And he was in the APC. I worked for my party, even though my relationship with him, dates back to, a very long time, over 50 years. I stood as a party man. So now that we have a reversal, Pastor Sage Zayama is very close to me. But there's nothing that will make me support him, support his candidature against my party. It's not done. So I'm going to throw in everything to ensure that the governor wins. Winning my district certainly ensures that he's coasting home to victory.
When you say everything, we need to know what you mean. You say you're going to throw in everything to ensure.
When I mean everything, it's like my own election.
Okay.
It's my own election. Okay. We'll throw in everything. All right? Since we started this campaign, my committee is the only committee in the Senate, excuse me, that is not hindered by vacation. I'm supposed to be working. But I put that on hold because I chair that committee. I have to be here. And of course, every comfort now has to be put aside. This is the time that I have to do what I have to do. I must galvanize my senatorial district for him, within or outside our plans. That again is not what I'm going to tell. I'm not going to tell anybody that.
Okay, but a lot of people are saying that Edo South polls may be disrupted by violence. So what do you have to say to this?
Well, Edo South has always been prone to that, because this is where you have majorly the urban centers, and then every person who is very radically in partisan politics is here. You know that all the political urchins are here. What they will not dare in the rural community, they do them here. Particularly the 3, urban local government areas. Oredu, Ikobaka, and Ego. Everybody wants to throw everything. But at the same time, the voters are elitists. You don't need to bribe anybody to, for people to vote for you. Majority of the voters here are people, today, they have made up their minds what they are going to do on the 19th. So no matter the influence, how many persons are you going to bribe? Are you going to talk to? They have made up their minds, they have had a fair assessment. And they have different indices that will rule them to reach that conclusion. They have done so. So for Edo South Senatorial District, the elites, one of the good things I enjoy with them, number 1, many of them have known me for a very long time. And again, my performance as a senator representing the district. So many people we vote for the party because of my own performance, verifiable evidence of performance that I've carried out in the last 6 years in the Senate, or the last 5 years in the Senate.
Now, you have taken politics as a vocation. You were a player in the private sector.
Yes.
Why did you decide to take politics as a vocation?
Just interest. And like I mentioned to you, when I was in the university, other persons were asking me, why have you taken interest in politics or in unionism? I took interest. Until date, if you go and check the history too, or check the books, I'm the only person who ran for election twice in Students' University of Benin to date, and I won. All right? I ran as treasurer of Students' Union, which was a very keenly contested election. Okay? I ran against a Part 2 student, when of course I was just in my second year. I ran against somebody who was in university, who had worked in university before he became a student. And the person is still very much around. So excuse me not to mention his name.
No problem.
So I ran against him and I won. I was the only one, you know, who was declared first of the 4 or 5 seats in my party, the Student Action Party. So I won the election. And then I came back again to run, you know, for the position of President of Students in the University of Benin. Okay? Normally it's not a thing, if you do it once, you go and face the disciplinary committee of the university, because of course they have to, audit committee will be set up by the university. At treasurer of Students Union, I was the one, you know, that was not found wanting. So when I came back to run, students were still ready to vote for me. And they voted for me, you know, and the contest too. For those of them who were Unimen at that time, they will tell you, if you see the Unduka Baigbeda who did my poster, was a student that time, will tell you that yes, Mato was in fact, the name Mato came from Unduka.
Okay, that's good. Now, so what do you make of the governor's strides in attracting investments to Edo State?
You know, for people who are ignorant, they tell you MOU, you know, Memorandum of Understanding. They are very ignorant. All right? But knowing who the governor is and what drives him when it comes to creating wealth, I am not surprised, because he's been very methodical, all right? Yeah. And he has been able to attract a whole lot of government to this state. How do you explain it? He's not the only one that has brought good governance in the area of education. But because he has done the best, now the World Bank has granted a loan of $75 million to the state to develop that sector. How do you explain it? And somebody is saying, no, he's right, he's going to drop memorandum of understanding. What else? Before anybody or across the world, nobody is going to do an investment of £1 when he does not know that the investment is protected. I will not invest in any business. I know that I will not, it is not a regenerative venture. I will not make money out of it. So talk less of people who are in other shores or out of our shores. They want to come and do investment. And you are telling them that they just print the money. Somebody was talking on television this morning before I left Abuja, that Nigeria must be very mindful of the borrowings that we are doing in China. Because the Chinese are tying these loans to our sovereignty. Our national assets can be forfeited to them. How do you explain it? Chinese will tell you, we're going to give you this money. We are going to own the villa. If you cannot pay, we're going to take it over. That's our asset. We're coming to take the National Assembly building and take it over. Because yes, the borrowings are being tied. So when the state governor too is able to secure, okay, a loan based on the fact that he's creditworthy, it is about the person. And for them to be able to do that kind of investment or do that type of lending to a state, it must be that, yes, these people can pay. What we are seeing in Nigeria today, let me take APCOM. APCOM that stands on the side of receivership to say all the bad debts of the banks, okay? Banks that have gone underground. This is what we can take. This is what we can do. We stand in gap for them. For all those who are, heavily indebted to banks, it is not the names that they are talking about. Maybe one of the greatest debtors to banks will be somebody like Aliko Dangote. But Aliko Dangote has investments. He has investment that you can see. The whole world will be running to him, asking him who can syndicate, because not one bank can fund Aliko Dangote's enterprise. No single enterprise. Is it the cement, or is it the food, or whatever, or the petrochemicals he has gone into, or the refinery is doing? No one bank, because you are talking of mega dollar, investments. And for you to do that, for a state government, you do modular refinery here in Obolobo. He has created an industrial park. Who will go to fund that? So for the governor to be able to stand and people to stand in gap, it tells you of his ingenuity, it tells you of his depth of knowledge, and of course it shows to you too the sincerity of purpose which other persons, as our shows, have seen, and they say we will invest. And you can see the way he is. One thing, go and check, there's been value for money. Everything he's been doing, I'm keeping my eyes on them. And the investment is doing in these areas, which are regenerative investments. You can see too that what he's spending frugally. I was look at the secretariat that was abandoned in Obemudia's time, that he has rebuilt. I have seen value for money. Well, for me, as chairman of public accounts in the Senate, there is what we call value for money audit. That is performance audit. All right? So we don't just do financial audit. We do, performance audit. Performance audit is, so can we tie money to the value of job? I've seen it. Go and look at the quality of jobs. You will not say this is government. Most of the buildings, they are like Julius Berger, buildings built by Julius Berger. So no. I want to tell you, I'm totally happy with the quality of governance that Joe has put in place. He has done very well.
Thank you. So let's take a look at the Edo Modular Refinery and the Osiomo project. What would you say are the benefits of these projects to Edo State? Now,
the modular refinery, well, in the face of, our economy today, when we are talking of energy, need of energy, just 2 days ago, federal government came up to say, okay, we are removing subsidy. Okay? Under recovery has been a problem, under recovery or subsidy. That's the way they have been interchanging it, because subsidy became a notorious word, after a while, because it was synonymous with corruption. People, the only area that government really had not deregulated was this issue of petrol and kero, and aviation fuel. Very many years ago, government had already deregulated the AGO, the diesel, and of course, market forces have been determining that price. Then the issue of shortage in the supply of petrol, all right, has always been there. And because of the difference between landing cost and pump price, government have been having this deficit of about 26 naira per litre, all right? With PPPROA coming in and with DPRO, all of them coming in, government really has not been able to bring down that price, the landing cost, because there are so many inputs, okay? Maybe not this program. MPA has to put in their own cost, and NEMASA brings in their cost. By the time the landing cost of 1 litre petrol became to about 171 naira, and we're having pump price of 145 naira. So having a deficit of about 26 naira, that's what we call under recovery. That money has to be paid. So that is what government has been paying. The government has been subsidizing every 1 litre with 26 naira, and we are coming to multiply by the hundreds of millions of liters. So when you say 1 trillion naira has been what government will be paying now as subsidy, all right, just because the people that have to use petrol, use kerosene in Nigeria, they have still brought it down that they are the masses. So government has been doing that, of course, making it impossible for us to be able to elicit development in other areas. Road infrastructure, health infrastructure, education infrastructure, and the rest. It has been very difficult. Therefore, government has been thinking of how do we do it. Countries like Singapore that do not even have one drop of crude oil, they have the best refineries because they will have customers like Nigeria, okay, who will come and import fuel. Therefore, it is important that since federal government was not ready to build new refineries to meet these needs, state governments and individuals started having investment. That's why Dangote is in it. We want to use our crude oil. That is why the government too have put a modular refinery in place to be able to serve our own local demand. So it's an investment. And before this time, marginal fields, that many of the states were thinking of, they too wanted to go into exploration. Nothing wrong. Federal government has an exploration outfit, which is a subsidiary of NNPC, which is NPDC. NPDC today does about 50,000, barrels of crude oil. State government, there's nothing that stops them to go to look for marginal fields. It's investments. And that's why we are saying most of the things we see that are on an exclusive list, we want to try as much as to remove them so that there's devolution. Devolution of power is not just authority. We are talking of the economics of it. So state governments are at liberty to invest in other minerals.
Also diversify.
To diversify. Because this issue of having to depend on central allocation of federation account every month, states that are not liquid today cannot even pay salaries. You can see what is happening. So with the governor here doing investments in different areas, it only means that is the man that has the foresight that is taking off tomorrow.
But you are aware that, the media is agog with information from the opposition, insisting that there is nothing on ground.
Let me tell you, the first thing in a warfare is the truth. The first victim in a warfare is the truth. When you are playing partisan politics here, it's like a war. Okay? So what is sacrifice is the truth. Look, don't mind whatever everybody say. All right? And let me say this. I just said something about energy.
Yes.
The area of power. Everybody in this state today, everybody in this country today complains about power. The issue of power is such that the economy of this country has deepened, has gone down, because there is no power supply. This business you are into now, if there is no power, there is no way you can be in this business. Just like somebody who is an electrician that repairs, pieces of, electrical, instruments or equipment, iron, fan, and all, and what have you. If you don't have power, you cannot do that. What is the economy of a country or of a state? It is the individual economic activity that sums up to make up the economy of the state. If power source is not guaranteed, because that was the other leg, the other question you asked.
Yes.
If power is not guaranteed, how going to go? So when people come out of sheer mischief, the man is not doing anything. Where were we before him? Where are we now? All right? That is why those of us too that have the privilege, okay, of having to go through the rungs to where we are, you are doing investments. I practiced pharmacy for 37 years. I didn't have any other thing. Nobody can ever tell I did any government contracts before I became a senator. I was doing my practice. So with him, who is being in the private sector over the years, when you are quietly doing what you are doing, it's not everybody that has come to steal government money that will say, yes, this is what, I have arrived. He too, GO stands out as one person who has been able to pursue enterprises, okay, that of course will always benefit people. Now this is government. So when people are ignorant, who really have never worked for themselves, who don't know how to generate wealth, who do not even know how to having disease to to assess a government, they will tell you this is what it is. I want to say this: nobody that is challenging Godwin Obaseki today that will tell you it is because there is bad governance. No. I stand to that person that will come out. It is because of misgovernance. That is why we are challenging him.
Thank you.
It is not possible.
All right. We're still chatting with Senator Pharmacist Matthew Urhoghide. When we come back, we are going to be taking a look at the measures on ground to ensure a violence-free election. Stay with us.
Hello, Edo, and welcome to the Snap and Send segment with the PDP Digital Media Team Live Studio. And I'm your host, Oluchi Adiela Nwosu. As the September 19 governorship election draws near, it is important that the good people of Edo State and Nigeria at large stay abreast with accurate information. The Snap and Send segment seeks to turn on the light on all activities in this electoral period. It is imperative that we collectively aspire and report incidents accurately, telling location of incident and using the hashtag Snap and Send. That is hashtag Oredo, hashtag Owonwest, hashtag Igweben, hashtag Snap and Send. Tag us on our Twitter handle at Snap and Send. Let's turn on the lights in Edo.
All right, you're welcome back. Now, Famese, on the Senator, now on the political side, how confident are you of victory?
Well, first, if I tell you yes, we are going to win flat. That way, that would just be an understatement. I think for those who want to assess, Godwin Obaseki's first 4 years, I want to tell you, over 80% will have every good reason to renew his mandate, to vote for him again. 80%. For the people who are out there, who probably will not be able to assess him, assess the quality of governance that he has elicited, other things will rule them. Things like what? Nobody is trying to be clannish. Nobody is trying to play tribal politics. A lot of the people believe that it is the excesses of one man that you find out there play. People do not like that. And he himself, and most of us see it that way, the contest is not between Godwin Obaseki and Osagie Ezeyamo. From the beginning, somebody was hell-bent on subordinating him and subjugating him to his whims and caprices. That's the perception. And I believe it is true. Why? I have experience with the same fellow. I had a bitter experience with the same fellow. And I want to tell you, 99% of all the persons who were with us in AC to ACN today, they have the same bitter experience. That is his pattern. That is his stock in trade. If Pastor Osagie Ezeyamo had his way, he would have been with us on this side against him. He fought against Osagie Ezeyamo. We fought against him before. Now it is on Godwin Obaseki's side.
You say if he had his way at all.
If Pastor Osagie Ezeyamo has his way, all right, he will be fighting with us on this side against the choice of Comrade Adam Shomole. Why? We all have very bad experiences with him. Politically, nothing has tied us. We never did business together. It's this business of party politics. Of the idea of you get your own, nobody should get. You must make all the choices. These are against democratic tenets. Look at what even Pastor Osagie Ezeyamo is fighting against. All right? He demarketed him in 2016, 4 years ago. He's trying to market him again, believing the people are fools. Nobody is a fool. Pastor Osagie Ezeyamo is trying to surmount that, the marketing he did 4 years ago. If you get to Proverbs, he will tell you who the foolish man is. A man whose tongue is unbridled. You don't know where to cut it off, and of course exercise some modicum of decency. He has ruined him. So for us, if you look at it, a lot of people are angered by that, and that one has attracted sympathy to him. How else do you measure it? Do you think people are stupid? He was a man you marketed to the hilt in 2016. Was qualified to be a governor. In 2020, he was no longer qualified to be a governor. Why? You didn't want him. And you're not able to substantiate any evidence. Why you don't want him? Just the same thing. Look at Engineer Chris Ogemoyi that was disqualified. Look at his top credentials. Why? The man does not want this person to come. Because that is his nature. When inferiority complex rules a man, he occupies a pitiable position. And I want to say something. People who ordinarily shouldn't have been on our political turf, that have found themselves there, they have done a whole lot of disservice to this process. And that's what we are trying to correct. Never again will it happen. After renewing the mandate of Godwin Obaseki, he too, Godwin Obaseki, will be regimented into the same army to ensure that people like this don't ever surface in our political life. And that is the truth. God is going to win overwhelmingly. By the grace of God, we are going to find a time after him. After Godwin would have finished his tenure, we are going to find a way again of integrating Shaibu. A way, of course, meaningly, in a very meaningful manner, he too can render service to our people. But not through this man. Not through Adam Somali. It's not possible.
Now,
God will not allow it.
Come September 19, there is this, fear that is pervading the atmosphere.
Yes.
So what measures are you putting in place to ensure that people come out to vote?
We are doing our best in our campaign to tell people that that is going to be peaceful. Let me tell you something. A lot of us too have the very good record of decency in campaigns, all right, and of course decency on elections. Persons who show crass intolerance to the extreme, this process, a lot of us have been involved in it. I ran for the Senate first time in 1992. I bothered to flaunt it. I didn't win until 2015, 23 years after. Not that I went into docility or I went into hiding. I was there. I kept on contesting. I ran for the Senate several times. I ran for governorship, came back to the Senate.
You didn't give up.
But each time, I didn't give up. Each time, I kept on persisting. I didn't kill anybody. People offended me, including Adam Somali, who brought my direct opponent from PDP to come to the ACN to take my ticket. And I moved the other way. I didn't kill him. I didn't quarrel with him. I didn't raise a finger. This game, you must know, either you win or you lose. And by the grace of God, if you have some level of economic independence, you have your own money that you are spending, it won't bother you that much. But when you are depending on the pockets of other people to run an election, and you lose, it's like the whole world has come down. You would rather win. Don't win, you are too indebted. You want to die. And there are people who are supporters too who do not have any visible means of livelihood. They depend on politics because they believe it is the shortest course. You understand it? To maybe economic self-determination. So they believe this is what we have to do. We must get through here. Politics is not a means to an end. Okay. What you see around me, for instance, I had this in place before I ever got elected. So when people are there, they don't show intolerance. Intolerance, if it's not me, cannot be you. It must be me. All right? We are preaching peace. We are telling people, come out and vote. By the grace of God, nothing will happen. The election is going to be peaceful. We are getting the assurances from all the law enforcement agencies, particularly the police. You read the today paper. Our privilege, our part of the team that went to see the governor, went to the Inspector General of Police. He has given us assurance that he will ensure peace. That he will ensure that there's peace and tranquility in this place. And that's what we want. All right? All the persons who are threatening fire and brimstone, I just believe they should be cast, into the pit of hell before that day. And know that the citizens that are law-abiding can freely go about their civic responsibility of going to the polls to vote.
Thank you very much. Now, we have singled out two sets of people, the teachers and the pensioners. Why? Because they have had a very good deal with the governor. What do you have to say to them come September 19th, 2020?
Let me tell you, that one becomes an added advantage because in our environment, payment of salaries now has been an issue of performance. Somebody was telling me that the governor is coming from the southeast to come and campaign to people here, not to vote for Obaseki. That's somebody who has not able to pay salaries. Because they lack morals. How can you tell teachers in Edo State today that will not vote for Obaseki? How are you going to tell them? When in the years past, they were old. Before he came, they were old. He cleared them. How are you going to talk the issue about pensioners? People will get their pensions. And the only thing they go to is 80-90% of it goes for drugs, for sustenance. All right? Today, they are regular with it. That is somebody who has a human heart. To say, this class of citizens, all right, they need to be looked after. When, of course, we who are politicians, how many of us can stand and say that at the end of the month, my allowances will not be paid? Can I survive? But you are occupying a position as a politician. Other persons who are civil servants, who are teachers, who are pensioners, they can't get their own. And then, of course, you want them to come and beg you before you can pay their salaries. Is that not wickedness? So a man that is doing it freely, I'm told. I have my relations and friends who are in the civil service. 25th of every month, they got their alerts. Pensioners, they are paid. All right?
Yeah.
Teachers are paid. And not only that, teachers too have been trained. They have been developed. If you were in a place like the US, for you to be a trained teacher, and you were to be in two different states, we say the state of Mississippi, and then one other person in the state of California. The one that is going to leave California to go to Mississippi is going to earn more money because that environment, okay, is less conducive or in terms of amenities. Here, we are going to see very soon many people will start running to this place, to this state, to be employed as teachers and as civil servants, if not for certain reasons. Why? They are getting their pay. I expect people to come from Imo to come and get employed here as teachers or as civil servants because they are old there, but they are being paid here. You know what I'm saying? So I just believe it is not just a question of praising somebody. A man that knows that this is my civil responsibility, this is the obligation I owe these people, I have to fulfill it, is somebody, you know, who's compassionate. And let me quickly say this. Some time ago, I had this type of discussion, and I mentioned it. Do you know what good governance means? People find it difficult to fathom it, to understand. Good governance is compassion. When you are elected as chief executive of a state, or chairman of a council, or president of a country, what borders on good governance? Do you know what it is? You have the resources of the people, both financial and other materials. And then I keep every year, every month they give me 5 billion from Federation account. That 5 billion that comes to me, I want to use to pay salaries, I want to pay expenses and all of that. And I have this one for capital expenditure, which is supposed to develop our roads, develop our schools, infrastructure and all of that. Do you know something? If I'm compassionate, I will take that money and use it to build. If I'm not compassionate, I'll take the one I personalize it. That's what you see.
Okay. Now, what do you have to say to electorate as election approaches?
My simple message is to them all.
Yes, very simple.
Listen, my simple message to them is to vote for Godwin Obaseki. They will never regret it. And for people in Edo South, it's not Senator Urhoghide has done. Listen, before I won my election, I kept on persisting. And by the time I started, we never knew a senator could do this. We never knew a senator could do this. All right? Until the man is given the opportunity to serve, you will really never know how well he served. It's like a good surgeon. If you don't give him a patient, all right, to take to the theater, you will never need a good surgeon. Today, for the first time, we are going to have a complementary role. The governor, myself, House of Rep, the councils, all of us working together I'm not telling the people in my district. What I have been doing, you go to infinitesimal compared to the summation of effort that we're going to have. We never had it before. Even though of the National Assembly, me trying to go and do one place in the Yekogba, the rep man, or Obede, he's trying to do something in the Yekogba. The government is trying to do another thing in the Yekogba. And you can see that there is no summation of effort. There is no plan. But with the governor coming now, I will not put anything in federal budget that the state government has already put, or is thinking of putting there. But the amount will not. The governor has already called us and has told us that please, the 2020 budget, 2021 budget, we should sit down and have a discussion. That's somebody who is planning. If I'm in the committee or maybe housing, and then the governor says, please, we have housing is good. Federal Minister Works and Housing. They are going to go to do this project. I will put it there. He doesn't need to duplicate the effort. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We are going to have a submission. So what they have seen me doing is going to be small compared to what they are going to see, because we are not going to form a team that will elicit good governance for our people. So I already know that. I've already seen that. Before this time, the council chairman will be smiling to the bank for personal reasons. Senator will be smiling to the bank for personal reasons. House of Rep will be smiling to the bank. Governor will be smiling to the bank. This is what has been happening. If Edo people now see it that the future is going to be blissful, this is time they should kill. Stay with it, the man that you know. I said the devil you know is better than the agent you don't know. Isn't it? So stay with the man that you know. You knew his mandate, just like you renewed my own mandate. For the first time, let us see another 4 years of bliss. Let us see another 4 years, of development. We know ourselves here. There's no need for us to pretend. We know ourselves. Godwin has done well, and I believe his mandate should be renewed. If you renew his mandate, for those of us who are still serving, we are going to have a summation of efforts, and that the people will better off for it. There's no need to start groping in that and go to somewhere else. Everybody's time will come in politics. Everybody's time will come. Those who will lose today, that time will come tomorrow. So nobody should really bother about that. Let us hold the one we have. Let us complete this bit of development that are on ground. This modular refinery, let it come upstream. This Oshomo power, let it come upstream. These roads, let them come upstream. This educational system that we are putting in place, let them come. Let them be settled. Anybody who is coming, this is the first time we are really having building blocks in development in Edo State. This is the first time. So that anybody that will come subsequently, after Godwin Obaseki, will build on that. Even those of us too, who might not be in the National Assembly, who might not want to come, after Godwin, those who will come, let them know that a building block has been put in place on which, of course, our future development, will be premised.
Thank you very much. All right, it's been a pleasure chatting with Senator Pharmacist Matthew Urhoghide, a man that practiced pharmacy for 37 years and took up politics as a vocation because of his passion to be closer to the people by bringing development. Thank you so very much for taking out time out of your very busy schedule to chat with us on this program.
Thank you very much for having me. A pleasure.
And like he says, good governance is compassion. And of course, the first victim in a warfare is the truth. So I'd like to say a big thank you to the production crew. My name is Habiba Oyege Oyarekwa. Thank you for watching.